Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniatures, and today we've got quite a few little treats for you. You may remember a while back, First Legions ran some successful kickstarters for some really nice, well-detailed resin miniatures, and I really enjoyed them. They were almost like little miniature dioramas, and I just found out that they have a new Kickstarter coming, and I was graced with the chance to check out some of those models in advance. In a fancy Tupperware, no less. No, I know. This is just for ease of shipping. But then I saw... Oh, crap. What have I got myself into this time? A lot of bags. Oh, boy. Okay. So you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to try to be smart for once, and I'm going to try not to mix everything up, which is going to be a challenge in and of itself. But I really wanted to have a chance to take a look at these. I really enjoyed those first models that they put out, and I'm thinking I'm going to definitely be enjoying these. And from the sound of things, they're going to be releasing quite a few figures again. So here we have a Drunken Dwarf. You're not going to be a drunk... Well, no, I was going to say that. I thought that was a mug. It's the entire barrel. Figures it, dwarf. There's the drinking horn. Okay. It looks like he's pouring out. Again, we've got these nice integrated bases. And you're a jolly little dwarf, aren't you? And I'm just going to be popping bags here and taking a good look-see, and we're going to see what we've got coming. Now, this is just, as I said, a small indicator of what's going to be present in the actual Kickstarter. And I'm dropping things by my feet, and I don't want to break them. Or at least not break them until I've, put them together. So this is an Inquisitor Model. At least that's what the name is currently. These are entirely subject to change. That is always the case. You're looking almost brigand-like, my friend. That's almost like Mad Max-ish. Except he does have a nice little uniform. Blades. So I know some people aren't a big fan of the shapes of the various bases. I guess that was one criticism people had of the first resin campaign. To me, it wasn't a big deal. To me, if they're going to have really nice looking bases, I can forgive the fact that, they're not going to fit on a standardized 25 or 30 millimeter base. Alright, this next figure is a Skeleton General. Now, this is kind of cool because, take a look, it's not your typical Skeleton General. We've got two heads. I'm trying to see if there's a difference here. Are you guys seeing it? Because they both look like the same helmets. Maybe that's just an extra. But we've got a definite Mesoamerican vibe going. That's pretty cool. You don't see undead wearing that kind of gear very often. Again, very elaborately armored legs, pelt at the waist. Detailed base. I'm assuming that is a loincloth of some sort. I think if you're a good painter, this is going to be some really fun stuff to paint. I'm assuming that's a cloak. And somewhere we should have a torso, hopefully. There we go. Or what's left of a torso, at least. Obviously, we're going to show all these models finished as well. My first thought is painting these up like obsidian or something. Alright, next up, we've got what looks to be a mermaid. Tell the truth, I don't think I've ever painted a mermaid. And I've got like a full Nereid warband for Deep Wars that have remained unbuilt and untouched for years now, which is quite sad. Oh, there's a little frog sitting there. Fun little base. We got a little gastropod guy crawling around down there as well. Maybe we'll paint him up like Gary. I'm noticing a lot smaller pieces this time around. That's not necessarily a bad thing. For whatever reason, I'm really more forgiving of actual cast resin models having lots of little bits versus the 3D printed stuff. I don't know why that is, unless they're specifically designed for having a ton of bits, like, you know, like the more wargaming style figures. This is a Goblin Mule. Base. Goblin body. And when I get everything built, we will give a good look to how everything stacks up with other models as well. You know I like to do that. Some various assorted pots. Not going to be much of a mule if he doesn't have a bunch of junk to carry, so I'm assuming that's going to go over his shoulder. He's got a good walking stick, which looks like somebody's morning star that he stole. A goat head, so I'm assuming maybe that's a goat in the bag. Nice looking goblin. There were a fair amount of goblins in the first campaign. Is our goat still alive in there? I don't know. That was the mule. I guess if you were going to do like a full goblin warband for something like Frostgrave, that might be fun to have. Our next model is a Fisherman. I don't think he's going to be a Fishman. We've got the base right there. A bucket of chum. Or fish parts. I'm assuming that's going to be like a little dock for him to be sitting on. Click a little scene. Oh my goodness, check out how thin that is. I get to clean that. Oh, that's okay. So it looks like he's supposed to be holding it in like so, maybe? And it's supposed to be dipping into the water, possibly? Like I said, we got a lot more challenging parts. Another snail. Is that going to be a motif that we're going to see continuing on with this? Is he panicking because of the snail? Why do I want to paint him like Huck Finn? I think it's the fact that he's got the stitched up pants and no shoes. My kid was just talking about reading Twain, so I've got Twain on the mind. Ooh, another drunk. I know First Legion mentioned to me that they were going to be having a bit of a tavern theme going on this time around. Much like the last time we had the Orc Village. So we've got a very traditional style monk, rather enjoying the virtues of the world. Of course, which you can't without some nice solid alcohol. He's a plump. I like the facial sculpts. Look, that face. No, it doesn't look like me, but it is quite homely and familiar looking. Bottoms up. Oh, we gotta have the tap. The tap being a separate piece. Right on. Alright. Okay, now we have a white. And this looks like it's gonna be a bunch of pieces. And again, I really enjoy that. I know not everybody does. So again, just to be careful, some thin pieces here. Hopefully I don't break it. As I warn everybody about it. A female white. Maybe that's sculpted on. I have no idea. Let's find out. So some wispy flowing rags. I guess that is interesting. With the claws and the spiky gauntlets. Nice little ruined base. You know, it'd be a fun challenge is to see if I can actually get the other First Legion figures from the first Kickstarter painted before I finish building all these. Yeah, we can try. So very wispy, floaty, raggedy. Look great with a lot of the current modern undead models out there on the market. If you're into the more wraith-like ones. It says white, but to me that says wraith. This next model is supposed to be a ghost. That's a lot of parts for a single ghost. But again, that's what I really liked about the first campaign. You have almost these like little mini diorama scenes. So you got a nice rocky base outcrop in. somebody's grave. A ghostly torso, I'm assuming. Maybe this kit has some optional bits to it. It looks like we're going to have to glue a few of these together. I think this is an arm. This is a girly go. Oh, somebody was up to no good if you're wearing one of those. It's going to be an interesting one to try to piece together. Ooh, a chained hand, another little cloak bit. So again, I'm not kidding when I say there's a lot of really thin parts to be careful about. I'm even more impressed that everything made it all in one piece. That's very cool. And then finally, the last model that we're going to take a look at right here is a very interesting one, and this is a forest spirit. And this is right up my alley in terms of just general weirdness. Those are the legs. Very Wicker Man-like. Be careful with those. Am I going to heed my own warnings? Maybe. Big ceremonial staff. Some more antlers. Surprisingly small base for all that. One of the arms. Somewhere we have a head. Oh yeah, of course the head. Where did it go? Between my fingers. Gotta have an animal skull. Looks like a deer skull or something. I believe this is the actual torso. It's nice to see something with a bit more of a Native American vibe. We don't see that often enough on the tabletop. There's very few companies that really seem to want to tackle that subject matter when I think it's, you know, visually really interesting, and hey, you know, representation counts. So cool to see. Give me a moment. I got a lot here to process, the dragging on as it is, but I am very eager and excited to put this together, and fingers crossed I don't bust any of it in the process. So sit tight and we'll see how everything turns out. Alright, we got everybody put together for the most part, and well, other than a couple that I didn't finish gluing, and I think I've got my camera all kind of straightened out, so hopefully it's not going to go all crazy vibrating on us, and if it does, well, guess I'm reshooting this, aren't I? So, first off, our Jovial Drunken Dwarf. Look at this guy. He is going to be the life of the party. And I'm all for having more relaxed, you know, citizenry on the tabletop, and I think this guy is definitely going to fit the bill. And I'm hoping that there's an actual barkeep to go with him. I don't remember if there was in the first one. And his drinking compatriot, the Drunken Monk. Now, this guy did not have any kind of actual integral base. For as little as our dwarf's base is, at least he's got one. The monk, nope, you don't have one there. But that's easily fixed, you know. I'm sure many of us out there have all sorts of leftover bases. Let's see what he looks like on top of a base, just to get a good idea. So size-wise, I think he'll scale pretty decently with other figures out there on the market. If you wanted to have a very mixed-in cosmopolitan town, these will be good models for that. Very easy to put together, and I enjoyed them for the most part. A lot of these models were pretty complex, and they were a lot of fun, I thought. Here we have the Mermaid. Get her out of the way. Not sure. That's about a 32 millimeter? 30? Maybe 32, if you were going to actually base it. That's a 30 millimeter base I've got there in my hands. Pretty straightforward. And if we're going to have the Mermaid, we got to have the Fisherman. So the Fisherman, naturally, I could not get that line in one piece. But I'm thinking, you know what, maybe I'll get like a piece of floss or something. I don't know what I'm going to use. Some kind of wire, some kind of little string to actually have him getting that fish. It just seems right. The base shape is a little interesting. I'm hoping that since this is a preview model that it's just a quick one, because it's kind of an odd shape. I'd like to see it a little bit more rounded. But then again, kind of a little vignette like this, it doesn't necessarily need to be, you know, wargaming scale, 30 millimeter, precise base. But then again, maybe it is. Maybe that's one of his special abilities on the table. I don't know. Here's the Inquisitor. Probably my favorite of the bunch, at least for the humans. Looks like a Mad Max extra. This dude is ready for business. I mean, it almost looks like a bandit or something. He does not look like a nice fellow. I guess so we were going to stack him on a more regular sized base. Again, to get a good idea of size. It's going to fit in pretty well. A lot of the typical fare on the tabletop these days. Our Goblin Mule. That's somebody else's base. That's his. I stupidly clipped off the bits that he's actually supposed to go attach himself to that with. I think this one's going to be a lot of fun. If you enjoy painting lots of different textures, colors, this should be a rainbow of stuff going on in that bag of his. Perfect for Frostgrave warbands. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. You need a mule, don't you? I think the only thing is, outside of the First Legion figures, the scale of the Goblin might be a bit of an issue for folks. I know he's hunched over and all. I'm desperately searching. Well, then again, maybe not. I don't know. Let's find that base. And I mean, honestly, if you don't need those scenic little base toppers, nothing's stopping you from really just going ahead and gluing him onto a regular base. I guess size-wise, he's not that bad. I mean, that is an old Heartbreaker one. They are a bit older. I'm looking around the table. I thought I had a GW Goblin hanging around. I do! And it's an old one as well, darn it. Not substantially taller, so might be able to fit pretty well if you want to do a Goblin warband. Hopefully we'll see some more Goblin models in this upcoming Kickstarter, so we can go ahead and have a nice thematically whole unit. Alright, since I did the unboxing, I can't remember which is which, but these two are my favorite ones to build. I think especially this guy. One of them is the white, one of them is the ghost. I want to say you are the ghost, you are the white, but John is the demon. And this one, it's like I had to keep playing with it, and eventually, third or fourth time of rotating the base around, I finally figure out which way she's supposed to go on it. So she's going to be all floating there. Naturally, I haven't glued her all the way on yet. Her arms gave me a bit of trouble. You can see that there's a little bit of a gap there, and I had a little bit of a hard time getting her skirt lined up, and I don't know if that was just me with my clumsy fingers, or if there was just not an obvious spot where it was supposed to glue. But everything did go together in the end, so I can't complain too much. Most of that's going to be hidden up anyways once things are glued. And, although they are glued, painted is what the word I'm thinking of is. This ghost, though, almost like vaguely Nazgul-ish, I think, with that empty hood. I like this one. This was a fun little puzzle trying to get all put together. And I have no idea how I'm going to paint this. I want to say it's a female. Maybe not. I don't know. Something about it makes me think feminine. I don't know why. Maybe it's the cuffs. I'm not sure. And finally, we've got our last two. We've got our... No, he's a skeleton general, not an undead general. So I kept him in two parts for the moment, just because that way I can get in there when the time comes to paint. I love that very Mesoamerican headdress. And this is going to need to have a lot of bright colors. And again, I'm thinking this guy's probably going to get a larger base to have his custom one attached to, because he's just too cool looking to hang out so low to the ground. He needs to be calling the shots with the rest of my undead. And as a general, I would expect him to be nice and big and impressive, and he's not even standing on an extra-sized base. So, that should say something right there. Definitely the most unique model, I think, of the bunch was the Spirit of the Forest. who actually is completely fully glued and doesn't really even show up completely on the screen. Let's see if I can get that without the camera going crazy. I feel like there was supposed to be another antler there, and there probably was, and it was probably included, and I have no idea what happened to it. Getting those legs, and I'm not even 100% sure if I've got them on correctly, but those legs were the biggest challenge. It is standing, it is glued, it is stable, it is level, so all is well. And he's definitely pretty big, even just within the scale of the other First Legion figures. I thought I had my First Legion orc that I'd painted recently, and I don't know where he is now. Okay. But just the sheer variety in just this preview that I've gotten to play around with colored me impressed. I mean, I thought that the first Kickstarter was pretty cool and impressive in terms of just the amount and the variety of stuff that they released. And, I mean, they stuck to it. I am always happy to see first-time kickstarting companies, because it's not like First Legion is just some new startup. Like I said, quite familiar with them from my dad and his toy soldier collecting. Have seen their models for years in various conventions, publications, shops, and all that. So nothing new there for me, but definitely them entering the realm of fantasy miniatures, I think, is something cool. So we will put a link down below to First Legion's website. You guys can take a look there, and as we get closer to the actual Kickstarter date, you can guarantee that you're going to hear it from me, and we'll put a link into this video as well, just in case, and I'll be reminding everybody when the time comes. So, with that said, this has been Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.